First, let me check and make sure that you can all see my screen. If you can see it, just somebody enter in chat, yes. Okay, and can you hear me? Okay, we've got yeses. Okay, I've started the recording, and there will still be a few people, I think, joining us as we go along, but we can go ahead and get started. The news from LibLime is kind of brief, but I think it's something that we can look to as progress. I did ask Patrick about the timing for the code to be placed into our sandboxes, and he responded that it's still development code and won't be a formal release until probably April or May, which is what I've been saying all along. He did say, though, that he would talk with the lead programmer tomorrow and find out if the potential of version 5.20 to the sandboxes is something that is possible to do. I think that it's getting really close that they can do that. I know that there are a few serials issues that still need to be resolved. But other than that, it looks to me like it's at the point where there needs to be more people looking at it and testing it. So hopefully by next week, I'll have a better answer. And once I meet with Patrick on Tuesday, if I get an answer saying, yeah, let's go ahead and do the sandboxes, I will send an email out to Waldo support so that you all know what's happening. I suspect that they can't do all libraries on one day, but I might be wrong on that too. So if that is going to happen, I'll let you know, and I will also tell you when it will occur so that you know when not to be in your boxes. Actually, if you tried to be in your sandboxes while it was being updated, you probably would get stuck at some point. So hopefully we'll have a little bit better information, definitely by the next time we meet, and hopefully sooner than that. Okay, as I was reading through the release notes again, let me see if I can find them up here. Yes. And just in case you haven't noted what the URL is, the URL right here in my location line, I can send that out on email, but I think if you have gone here before, it should be remembered in your browser. And as I've gone through the release notes, I haven't found anything that I think is particularly new, although I did find a couple of things that I thought were interesting and tried to see if I can demonstrate them. So I did a couple of things, and I'm pretty sure I can find a few more if I would like to, if I took a little bit of time. Okay, so I switch now into the Bibliovation demo site. It's one that is restricted to a few people. It is not open for everybody to get into it. And the way I'd rather play with this is if it's in your own sandbox. So I wanted to show you the one feature that I saw and went, well, I wonder how it works. That's the feature that allows you to move one item to another, from one bib record to another bib record. So let me just start my search over here again. And it helps if you spell correctly. And you've seen this record before for Kitty Nance. It's just a cute little book. But in order to show you how moving the records, the item records works, I found a title that I thought was pretty cool, Hank the Cow Dog, The Case of the Twisted Kitty. Okay, another thing that you can see here is that I have, in fact, turned on the ability to see item record information in the results list. That I did in the discovery layer, and I can show you how that is done as well. Okay, so it says here that there's one record that's on this particular title. And when I go down, there's actually two records. I did some playing around with this before, and it's quite possible that the reindexing isn't completed yet. But the first thing that you want to do is copy the barcode that you want to move. So in this case, I copied this barcode. The next step is to go to the record that you want to place this item on. And again, we'll open this up. And in our edit, we have our edit record, edit items, and there's a new one in here called migrate item. Now, I'm not sure if I have to do this, but I followed what was in the discovery layer, and it said to first click on edit items. And once you get to your item display, then what you do is go back in and click on migrate items. Like I said, I think that's a wasted step. But you enter the item barcode, click on migrate item, and when the page refreshes, I bet I should have used a different item. Let me try that again. Tells me that it was successful. And it was. So the item is now moved here. One thing that I haven't done yet, I didn't look at the statistics that are on the record, but since the whole item record moved to a different bib record, I am pretty confident that all of the statistics moved with this record. So this is something that is that's going to be in 520. I think it's something that you'll like and that you'll probably use more frequently than you think you will. Before I move on to another topic to show you, are there any questions about this particular feature? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So let's go to the next one. Let me go back to the results list first. Maybe I'll go back to the results list. They did add error messages, as you can see. Well, I don't know why I can't get back, so I'll just search again. And point this out again. You can see that there's a lot of information for this one record in our results list now. There are options now available where you can modify this currently available at using, I believe it's CSS. I haven't looked into that one quite yet, but you'll see that we have our currently available, our different branches with the different call numbers. And following that, we have a brief view of the item records that are available. And on the far right hand, it tells us item available. This one that says item suppressed, a couple of weeks ago, I showed you how that gets done. And the reason we're seeing that right here is because I'm signed in as a super librarian. If I were looking at this in the public catalog, I wouldn't see this third line. It would be away from me. So that's something to keep in mind. But in order to get this to work, there is one step that you need to take in the discovery layer. So I'm going to show you that now. And first, what I'm going to do is go to Administration, to the Global System Preferences, then click on Discovery Layer. And again, with this version, there are two links here. I know that Jane has been working on revising the Discovery Layer Configuration Guide, and it is now in draft mode. So if you go to the Discovery Configuration Guide that you have linked on your System Preferences page, you will go into version 5.18. But in order to see the 5.20, all you have to do is change that 18 in the URL to a 20. And that will take you right into the version 20 documentation. So you'll be able to see the things that I'm telling you about. Okay, I'm going to open the configuration mode. Many of you probably don't have the capability to do this, so this will all be something new to you. And if it's, you can still look at the documentation even if you can't go into the discovery layer. One thing that I like a lot about how they've changed this is that there is a contents line or box here where we can choose where we want to go. And you can see it's separated into landing page, cover images, etc., all the way down to icons and DLS. Since none of the libraries have the DLS portion of bibliovation, basically you don't have to ever look at that. Okay, let me show you. Okay, right here is the address in, and at the end of the Discovery Customization Guide, there is an LAK 5.20.pdf, and that's where you change the 18 to the 20. You'll need to add this part. I'll copy this and send it out via chat. And that goes between the guide and the PDF part of it. Okay, actually where I have this open right now is at the icons area, I think. But let me show you in the discovery layer itself. I think I already did that, but that's okay, we'll see it again. Where I want to go down is to I think it's under the public masthead search. After the information that you can modify here, there are some questions that are new. This one go directly to title on single results searches. If you don't want to bother with having to do another click, you can actually click this and it would all automatically go to the result, or from the results list to the record. And I'm way beyond where this is supposed to be. Okay, here is the area. There are a couple of things that I think are interesting in this. Let me go. Okay, it starts up here under performance authentication, so that's the area that it's in. There are several different pieces in this particular area of the configuration editor. The one that makes it possible for the item information to display in a results list is this first checkbox here. The display holdings information with search results, there's a checkbox. My understanding is that if you don't like what you see as a display, you'll now be able to modify that information using CSS. I'll have to get more information on that for you, but that is definitely something that is good. The authentication and block access to bib details you will probably never ever use. Those are in there for the InfoMart, and excuse me, and at some point you'll be able to see what the InfoMart is like and see how those features work. Show a user logout link, and if I didn't have this clicked, I wouldn't have the logout option in my underneath my name. So I think that's something everybody should do. If you want to identify a shortcut, basically, to go from your session within LAK to a different URL, you can add them in this area. And then there are several other questions here that are interesting. The configurable staff home, if you have this clicked, it means that any staff member can look at the home page, the staff home page, and can rearrange it if they want to. They can take pieces away, so if they never ever use serials, they can move serials out of there so they don't have to look at it again. And that, I think, is sometimes useful. You can choose how the software is going to address you. It can either be your name or it can be your username. In other words, the username you sign on with. If your sign-on is a barcode, you probably would rather have your name instead of the barcode. So keep that in mind, that this will affect everybody, not just the super librarians. This show loading spinner on state change, I have that one checked. If there are network problems and responses are not coming in, that is something that can be displayed so that at least you know that it's still being worked on. So far today, I've had a little bit better luck than usual, and I haven't seen that. And your logon view are for everyone. Which question was that about the display staff user IDs instead of names? Okay, staff home, that's just for their view of the staff home page. Once I get out of the configurator, I'll show you where that is. Okay, and you can also make a decision about whether or not your masthead will default to the public view or the staff view. If you click it, it will go to the public view, and then every time you sign in, you'll see the same interface that will be on your public OPACs, which is something that is kind of a nice thing to do, because then you're always searching the same way that your patrons are searching. Sometimes, though, some of the shortcuts that you can use in the staff masthead would be better. For instance, the one that comes to mind immediately is if you're searching for patrons and you're in the staff masthead, you won't have that link to quickly search in the patron file. So that one you might want to think a little bit about. Okay, I'm going to exit out of here. And since I didn't change anything, it doesn't ask me if I want to save my configuration. Okay, so if I click on this staff home this is the configurator, or this is the way that the staff home appears once it's installed. Okay, there is a button over here that says configuration, and let's say we don't want serials to be here. I'll just grab it and pull it over here, and then after I save it, serials isn't there. Now, after someone changes their view, they do have to remember to pop up. They're making it just for their logon screen. It is not globally for everyone. So every staff person could have a different home view. Okay. Let me go back over to our agenda here. And those are the things that I showed you, plus threw in a little bit of other things on the way. The enhancement list updates, again, like last time, I've been working a lot on the InfoMart part of that ProConsort is working with on loading records and doing all kinds of interesting things. So I haven't updated the list recently, but I am trying to get information about how much money there might be in the development fund so that we can start making some guesses, or not guesses, but so that we can compile a list that I can then send to Patrick so that he can get estimates on what it would take to get those features done. One that is going to proceed regardless is the one in number 4, the ebook delete record handling. And right now we have a method to use that will delete records based on a script that is run through the import-export factory. Marymount Manhattan is a library that is testing this for us initially. And this week, there were at least 2 files that were processed through the script. And okay, that's it. And the results are here, and I can show them to you, but it won't mean anything because it's just a list of titles and bid numbers. But the script itself, what Teresa and Jason found out is that the file of records that they used for this has 618 records, but only 74 were deleted. So Teresa sent me the file, and I'm going to start looking into why records weren't there. I think that the only way I'll be able to tell whether they are there is to search for them. So I'll be doing quite a few searches in the Marymount Manhattan Sandbox and production database to figure out what the reason is why so few of them were deleted. But the process itself is very fast. It just took, I don't know, we were done with it within 15 minutes, weren't we, Jason? I'm waiting to see if he's going to send a chat message. Oh, yeah, he said very fast. So it's in some ways a delight to use. There are only 2 fields in the input form that you have to enter or change information in. That is a file that you're going to work with. And then you have to tell it you want it to create a batch. Just so that you can see this is what it looks like. And from looking at this, that's why I hesitated to show you, but I thought I'd better anyway. It tells us that it's a biblio, it tells us the author title, ISBN, says that this has been imported, and it also says that there is a catalog record. But when I click on any of these in a staff mode, it's going to tell me the record has been deleted. So what I've done with the ones that I've looked at already is I've changed to the public view and looked for, I did actual searches for these, and they are definitely gone. And by checking in the Marymount Manhattan production, I can see that the record that was deleted in the sandbox is still in the production system. So it works. I just have to figure out why it doesn't work for every record in the one file that I do have. Right now, it's no, the import-export factory is in everyone's production and sandbox right now. The only problem is that in your production and sandbox, you won't see anything that is there, and I'll show you what I mean. If I go to Tools and choose Import Export Factory, there's nothing there to run. There's no indication of what you're supposed to do or how it's supposed to work, and it's just blank. So even if you wanted to use it, it would be very difficult without having a script there. In the sandbox, when I go to the import-export factory in their sandbox, there are two scripts that were uploaded so that we can test them and work with them. The first one is delete bibs using a spreadsheet. And if you have a spreadsheet that comes from the vendor, we'll have to look at the spreadsheet first and see how it will be processed. My understanding of how this one is going to work requires that you do an SQL report and then you export the SQL results into a batch file, and then you run that batch file through this process. And I think that's just an awful lot of steps. To delete the biblios using MARC records, the only thing when Jason and Teresa and I were working with this, all that we clicked was delete biblios using MARC, execute. We entered a file name in and changed this create batch to yes, ignore errors. And like I said, it went very fast. But now we have to figure out why it didn't delete all of the records that they expected to be deleted. Once we figure this out, I'm going to double check with Michelle or Jane and find out something. There is a new feature that I want you to be aware of. And along with many other permissions additions, there is a new permission that's going to affect the import-export factory. At the very bottom, there is going to be an extra permission for administrative level tools. And even though the import-export factories and tools, and right now, if you have tools permission, it lets you use any of the tools that are there. This gives us a way to restrict the use of it so that we can restrict using the import-export factory either to just execute existing scripts or to create, modify, and delete scripts. And I expect that pretty much everyone will have this set to execute. Once we get the delete feature added into the regular batch processing, we probably won't even need to use this. But it is something that is there, and it's something that can be used for lots of different reasons. Okay, let me go back over here. Okay, so that's the update on ebooks. I know there are a few libraries out there. St. John's is one. Duville College is another that is interested in having the capability to delete records. And I think that there are a few others that I've had initial contact with, but nothing has been set up with them yet. So as we figure this out, I'll let you know where we're going from there. Okay, the testing script, since the Code Fusion group hasn't met for a while, I don't have anything new to tell you about Code Fusion features and the testing scripts. I have seen that South Central has updated their testing scripts. So Ben and Ann, you can see what they are in the shared Google Documents folder. I haven't looked at them. I don't know how they have been finding things, but I have seen fixes and new features and or enhancements that have been submitted by SCLS. So I know that they're making some progress. I'm not just sure what that progress is. We meet again on March 1st, I believe it is. And at the March 8th meeting, we'll be able to update you on what's going on. We've already actually gone over the discovery layer customization. Are there any questions about anything that I've gone over today or about anything else? Keep in mind that if you have new staff who are just learning everything about LAK, I am willing to meet one-on-one with a person via GoToMeeting to explain what things are available and also procedures on how to get some things done. Other than that, that's pretty much all that I've got for today. It looks like our hour meeting is turning into a half-hour meeting. So hopefully this is still meeting the needs that you have in order to keep up to date with what's going on. One last chance, any questions, comments, suggestions? Okay, seeing none, we're done for today, and watch Waldo support. As things change, I'll let you know that way. There haven't been a lot of messages on Waldo support, which means that we're still in pretty much a holding pattern, waiting for 5.20 to get to the point where it can be added into the sandboxes. So I'll be back with you on March 8th. Contact me if you have any questions. Have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.